Now, ladies and gentlemen, the best cheap knives in Counter-Strike Global Offensive for $100 and under, top 10 edition. Now these will be based all off buff prices, which everyone can access buff. I have 2 videos on that, and there's multiple other videos on the internet. But if you can't use buff, there is a website called Skinport, which is today's video sponsor. Now Skinport is an easy, fast buying selling marketplace for Counter-Strike Global Offensive skins. You can sell your skins for cash, ladies and gentlemen. You have anything over $1,000, it's only a 6% sales fee. And if you do sell anything, it goes to your bank via bank transfer, which is a lot better than selling with crypto and paying those bank fees. And the best of yet, you can find these knives in North America and Europe for the cheapest prices over here. Obviously, buff is not going to be for everybody. Trying to get funds in there is not going to be for everybody. So this is a secondary option. And you can find these knives possibly 20, 30, or even 40% off Steam market prices. Now the first knife on our list, ladies and gentlemen, is the paracord stained, specifically at $99. This thing is not the best looking knife, and a lot of these knives aren't the best looking, but some of them are. And this one isn't the best looking, but I wanted to diverse the kind of knives you could receive with $100 and under, essentially, for this. And with $100 for a knife, you're not really gonna get a whole lot. And we're also gonna make a video covering knife and glove combos in the future, which is gonna be really, really exciting, but that budget is gonna be a lot higher. So that's why I suggest just getting a knife. If you're trying to get knife and gloves, I would just go with the knife. Spend the money, get a better knife, or vice versa, get better gloves. But with the paracord, it's very, very unique. I think it's a very cool looking knife. It's a very long blade, and the pull animation's not great, kind of very similar to all the newer knives in CS, like the Ursus Survival and the Paracord and the Nomad. They have a very simple pull animation. This one has a rare animation every once in a while. It's not my favorite, but it's definitely a really cool blade, which some people will really, really enjoy. Now, according to Suka Hot Fire, the classic knife case, otherwise known as the CS20 case, is going to hit $1. That was just a meme. The classic knife blue steel in the minimal wear condition. Now, this is $98. A little cheaper than the first one, but I mean, the price doesn't really matter for dealing with anything under $100 here. And the classic knife is a pretty interesting knife. Not my favorite knife in the game, but with the blue steel effect, it's a lower wear, I guess you could say a minimal wear. That goes with any lower wear version of a classic knife. It gets rid of like the edge part where it kind of has like a sand print or like a lot of dirt on the blade, and this kind of gets rid of it. And it's kind of like an opposite effect of the M9 bayonet pull animation, which is very, very unique. This skin is pretty cool, otherwise known, like the classic knife itself is a decent pull-in animation, and if you're kind of just wanting a decent pull-in animation for CS for a very cheap price, this is definitely something you could look into. Now, one of the worst looking knives on this list, in my personal opinion, is the Navajo. Not the actual skin itself, but the knife. I absolutely hate it. It's $98 on the Navajo Doppler. I mean, this thing, I don't like it. I don't know. The blade is too tiny. The actual handle is bigger than the blade. Pull-in animation's pretty weak considering the first two I just think are a lot more clean, but some people really like the Navajo and specifically the stiletto, which the stiletto is not on this list, but it's an honorable mention. You can find a really, really good skin for like an extra $50 or $60 more. You can get yourself a really good looking stiletto if that's your type of tea. Now, the next skin up on our list, and now we're into the gut knife section, that is the gut knife Autotronic, which I think is the best looking knife on this list. The Autotronic specifically on the gut knife is one of the best looking Autotronics in the entire game. The handle has some detail, which you don't even see on like a bayonet, M9 bayonet, or karambit. I mean, you do see it a little bit on the actual regular bayonet, but the Autotronic on the gut knife looks absolutely amazing. Of course, this is in the well-worn condition, and with it being well worn and not battle scarred, it doesn't look as dark, which is pretty unique. If you get it in factory new, it's not going to look that much different than it does in well worn. And really cool things with the Autotronic, it doesn't really affect the wear of the skin, more so of the lighting. And I think this, if you're wanting a gut knife and you want an Autotronic, or you want something very similar to this is a very good pickup for people at $99. Now, up next is the gut knife Crimson Web in the minimal wear condition. This is a little bit over our budget. This really flexes in price from about anywhere from $89 to $95, and right now it's currently at $101. At the time of making this, it was only $96. So this thing really fluctuates in price. In the minimal wear condition though, you get a really good looking gut knife as well. It's kind of very similar to the Autotronic. It's black and red, and I think the accents on this with the Autotronic, like the Crimson Web, look really, really good. So if you're wanting a Crimson Web knife that's cheap, that looks good, this could be the way to go for some people. Now, up on our list next is a little cheaper than all the other options before at $97. That is the Gut Knife Tiger Tooth Factory New. A Tiger Tooth is a skin, either you love it or you hate it. It's a budget version of the lore, and some people absolutely love this knife, some people absolutely hate it. For me, Tiger Tooths aren't really my favorite knife in Counter-Strike Global Offensive, but on the Gut Knife, I gotta say, it's looking pretty clean, it looks pretty solid. So this is a decent, another budget option for a knife. And it's something you never really see in CS anymore, just let alone the Gut Knife, because everyone's focused now on the newer knives, because these are actually rising a decent amount in price. Not to say they're a good investment, and these knives aren't for investments, but I'm just saying 98 bucks ain't too bad. Now, the next one on our list is another gut knife. Once again, I know, big surprise. It's actually the last one on this list as well, being a gut knife. Two more after this. And that is the Gut Knife Doppler, factory new for $98.25. Obviously, this is with the crappiest phase being phase 3. If you want a phase 1 or a phase 2, they're going to cost you an extra $10 to $15, even $20 more. But if you wait on Buff or another website like Skinport, you will be able to snipe these for a decent price. And these knives used to be really, really affordable. They didn't always used to be this expensive. And I mean, expensive for a knife nowadays in CS is growing more and more. What we think is a cheaper knife in CS is now becoming expensive. And this knife is becoming one of those things, but I think it's a really good looking knife. For the price, I think you're better off just getting an Autotronic or a Tiger Tooth, especially just getting a phase 3 or a really crappy phase for the bayonet for a Doppler. Now, to change things up, second last on 9th on the list is the Feltrin Ultraviolet Minimal Wear. This is a skin and knife specifically that has grown on me quite a bit in the past year or so. This is $99 on Buff listed here, and minimal wear, especially for the ultraviolet, is really, really good. It looks really, really clean, and the ultraviolet pull-out animation used to really, really suck. I don't know why I used to hate the Feltrin knife. I'm not to say it's my favorite knife in the game, but it's definitely not my least favorite in the game, considering now there's the Navajo, I don't like the Talon, and there's many others. But this, for a budget knife, is looking pretty good. It will definitely stand out. You don't see a lot of people with Feltrins anymore. The only problem with the Feltrin compared to something like the gut knife is when you run around with it, you can't see both your hands. Let's just say you do have gloves and now you want to pick up a budget knife. It's very similar to the Bowie knife where you hold kind of one hand back, and that's kind of the downside to it. But if you don't mind that, you don't have gloves, this might be better for some people. You don't really notice that. I lied. Second to last up here, ladies and gentlemen, is the Nomad Knife, but most importantly, the StatTrak Nomad Knife Urban Mass Field Tested. But for literally an extra $1 more, for 97 bucks, you can find one of these for field tested that look really, really good. 93 is actually listed now for the non-field tested, non-StatTrak. So either or, it's a good looking knife. It's a different animation than all the other ones. Has a really cool animation, like 1 out of 6 times where it shakes its hand because it actually cuts itself pulling out the blade, but looks really, really cool for 97, even 93 bucks. Now, the real last knife up on this list, ladies and gentlemen, is something that's very different than all of these, once again, and that is the StatTrak Autotronic Field Tested Shadow Daggers. Now, this is 96 bucks. The non-StatTrak version is 73, so you would be able to save a lot if you got the regular version, which I do suggest. And these being Autotronic look pretty cool for Shadow Daggers. I think the Shadow Daggers on some knives can really make or break a skin, and that's why I suggested the gut knife version and this version specifically. It's also one of the newer skins in CS, and I really do like how this looks, and for the price, you can't really go wrong with 70 bucks for a skin, especially if you like the 2 blades and the Shadow Daggers specifically. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, leave a thumbs up, leave your thoughts and comments. Are you guys going to be picking up any of these knives specifically? If so, which one? And if you guys want to see more videos like this in the future, where we go for a budget over maybe $100 to $200 and $300, $400, $500, that's the plan for the future. The best cheap knives for $200, $300, $400, $500 bucks. And eventually I'd like to carry that out maybe to like $2,000 or $3,000. And then in a couple years, we'll maybe update that list so it's more to that day's standard, because obviously these knives are going to go up in value. We just don't know which ones at what rate. And I'm also going to do the same thing for skins, I think, in the future. We'll do a video, best AK skins under $100, best rifles. If you guys want to see something like that in the future, let me know. Have a good day, guys. Stay positive, stay sexy. I'm out, guys. Peace.